The first time I met Dennis and Lois, who I guess was in the 90s at Maxwell's in Hoboken, New Jersey. It's a really small place, so you get to see everyone close up, and of course they were right in front. And later that tour, because we were going up the East Coast, we saw them at every show. We were in a tour Winnebago or a bus, I forget, but they would be there before we got to the show, waiting in the parking lot every time, and it was like funny at first, and then it got odder because we were going farther away, and they would still be there. But they're the sweetest people, and they actually pay attention to what you're saying on stage and catching every joke and catching every band reference. So it was just like rekindled spirits of like-minded funness, and so of course I put them to work. They would love selling our t-shirts, and it was the best because they were such Vez fans that they would say, oh, this record's really good, and they would say, and you could see their excitement about Vez, which would make the fans excited. And they're good people to have around because they're band boosters. When they love somebody, they really love somebody, and they love so much, be it cartoons, cereal boxes, be it toys, records, music, or funny odd things, that they just absorb it all the way and become immersed in it. And so they already loved Elvis, they already loved rock and roll, Bowie, Rolling Stones, everything I put in an Vez show. It was just a natural combination. And they followed us to England, they did a tour with us of London and Liverpool, and they would be there every show, and they got to meet Roy Wood, which was exciting for me, but even extra exciting for them, because when they truly get excited, you can see Dennis's eyes light up, and it just becomes big and animated, and that's just a great thing, because I think it's fandom is what was our connecting link, because we just both love rock and roll so much, and Vez is a blender of rock and roll styles and rock and roll ideas, and they got all the references and just old kindred spirits loving the same thing, which is rock and roll.
Nice. You've also been to their apartment, right?
I've been to Dennis and Lois's old apartment, and it was just amazing because every square inch was filled with toys, memorabilia, records, stuff from Oasis, clothes of mine on the wall, posters. Every space, the kitchen was filled with cereal boxes, and this was just part of it because they had more in storage. But their whole life is filled with things that make them happy, and what better way? It's like where they sleep is the least important thing. They'll sleep in a car, they'll sleep on the floor, they'll sleep on a couch, because their house has to be filled with all the things that mean so much to them. I could not live that way.
What do you think they're going to do with all the stuff?
I don't think they have any plans of what they're going to do with all this stuff. I think they plan to live forever, and rock and roll is keeping them young. I mean, it hasn't stopped them from sleeping in cars or sleeping on the side of the roads or driving all the way to Denver overnight, all this stuff. I mean, they have the most gumption. Me, I'll be in a tour bus or flying to the next city and I'll be tired, and they have driven all the way and stopped at the McDonald's on the way and driven non-stop to be at the sound check the next day. And they just have boundless energy, and I don't know where they get it, but they just have it. So I don't know what they're planning to do with all this stuff. I mean, it's all collectible, and there's tons of people who would love it, or maybe they'll donate it to a museum or start their own Dennis and Lois museum, because it is truly worth a museum of their own.
Did you ever wonder why they didn't get married?
I think maybe they didn't get married because they knew they didn't have to. And what they spend on a wedding or wedding cake, they could spend on concert tickets or more Simpsons memorabilia. Because it's like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. We're here together. We're like that. We can buy more stuff, more records. The money used for that could do this. So
I'm trying to convince them to get married for the end of this film.
That's a good idea. They could do, maybe they can get married in Gibraltar, Spain. That's like John and Yoko. They can recreate a ton of weddings. And I'm a reverend, so I would gladly marry them at their wedding, and that would be a great honor to me. I would fly out there to do their wedding. So if you hear this before the film gets to its conclusion, I will gladly marry you at the wedding. You know I'll be there. Dennis and Lois are two different, but they dress the same. They always have the same t-shirts. Their colorings are becoming more similar, the hairs and their pallors and their hair and their clothes and their talking, but it's cute because they will go through different periods of who's the talkative one and who's the quiet sit back one. So I think they give each other one a break of when to speak up and when to sit back. They'll always be at the front of the stage, and even sometimes they both do the 14-year-old girl-ness, which is cute to see because Dennis will do that too. Lois does it more, and she'll turn into a little girl and going like this on the side of the stage. They love their hamburgers and plain simple pizza. I always try to get them to try new stuff, but they never do. They have simple taste in foods, but their taste in music and pop culture and toys is a wide and varied palette. At Vez concerts, we sell locks of my hair, pieces of my shirts, hotel room keys that I've been in, pencils, all kinds of stuff. And so, of course, I gave them all samples, but I've given them full shirts. And these shirts are on display in their bathroom, I think, or something like that. You know, so it's like there's a museum in Holly Springs, Mississippi that has some of my clothes, and the future Dennis and Lois Museum has some of my clothes. So those are the two places with Vez clothes. Another great time was when they were in England, and it was a surprise for me and a surprise that Roy Wood, a guy who's played this great Christmas song that I now have done covers of for a while, I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day. And I knew they knew that song, and we did not know he was going to be there, and we were all three going, and none of my band knew who he was. My backup singers didn't know who we were, and we were just going, and that we were going to sing it that evening on stage with him. To all of us was like, and it was really cute to see them walk up and go, Mr. Wood, because we were both all in awe, and it was like a very great surprise, and it made my Christmas to see them happy and get to meet a hero too.
Cool. So they do actually get starstruck sometimes.
They get starstruck a little bit, but they know how to get out of it because they know they could just stand there or they could say something and actually make contact with that person. So I will see them go, but they snap out of it because they know they got to use this time wisely. They know the guy is busy. They might not get another chance, and I got to make them fall in love with us so we can be there at the next show, because they have that knack to make you fall in love with them. So they will for a moment, but they'll get right into action and endearing themselves to them.
Great. And lastly, it's not a surprise that they're out on the road now at 63 with a young band from Manchester, correct?
Yes, the vaccines, they've been talking to me about them forever, and I'm surprised that they went this far, driving all the way to Denver. I know it sounds like them, but I didn't think they would, but I guess it doesn't surprise me anymore just because they've done it and I don't see them stop doing it.
Cool. Awesome.